We'll go ahead and begin our next segment here, which is Commissioner, District 5. We have Reverend Jarvis Collier, candidate, and Mike Kane, who is an incumbent in this position. Reverend Collier and Mr. Kane, you will both give your opening statements. You will have 2 minutes. Our timekeeper are right below. They will show up their 30-second and 15-second. Marty Tennis has the cards, and our timekeeper is Chuck Schlitterler. I'm getting all tongue-tied, Chuck.
Just give up.
About to destroy it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and begin with the opening statement. Reverend Collier.
My name is Jarvis Collier. I am pastor of the Pleasant Green Baptist Church here in Kansas City, Kansas. I am also the lead developer of the Northeast Junior Place, a 43-unit senior housing facility. I was fortunate to serve as former board chairman of the United Way, very involved in the KEEP EPA in KCK campaign. I'm a husband, a father, and a concerned citizen of our community. I appreciate the opportunity to share tonight, and certainly to Dr. Givens and to the entire college administration and all the sponsoring organizations tonight. I'm delighted to be a part of this forum and be here with Commissioner Kane.
Mr. Kane.
Well, it's no surprise I'm a dot. I was raised at 222 North Thorpe in Kansas City, Kansas, in 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house with my 9 brothers and sisters and sometimes my grandmother. I met my wife in kindergarten, and we were married for 35 years. We raised 2 children. I live on 112th, and both of them live on 123rd. I've been the commissioner for the last 8 years, and it's been my goal not just to make this a place to where you want to work, where it's a place you want to live. I worked at General Motors for 35 years before retiring and become a public affairs director for Labor's 1290. I am out and about all the time. My life is basically an open book. You ask me a question, I'll give you an answer, although sometimes you may not like the answer. There's been a lot of positive things that happened in District 5, and I look forward for more positive things to happen.
Thank you. All right, we'll now turn the question session over to our moderators. I do want to remind the candidates you have 1.5 minutes to answer your questions. Thank you.
The first question is for Jarvis Collier. Do you have specific recommendations as to how the unified government can continue to become more efficient in the process for those businesses considering expansion of their business or those businesses that are looking to come to Wyandotte County? And what are those recommendations?
We are fortunate in Wyandotte County to be on the radar of many developers around our state, around our nation. And I believe a commissioner is tasked with a responsibility of being a prudent listener, one who evaluates the proposals as they come before the commission, working with the mayor and the county administrator to really evaluate all of the proposals. We understand many times that the developer has an objective, but the commissioners ought to have an objective. And I believe that objective should be what is best for the citizens of Wyandotte County. How will that development bring jobs? How will that development impinge upon other developments that are already a part of the fabric of our community? And so it is, I believe that there is a master plan. I'd love to see more of it and learn more of it as a commissioner. And any development must be brought to the table in a way that it would preserve what we're doing and enhance what we're doing.
Mike Kane, same question.
Please repeat the question, please.
Do you have specific recommendations as to how the unified government can continue to become more efficient in the process for those businesses considering expansion of their business or those businesses that are looking to come to Wyandotte County? And what are those recommendations?
Well, I spent 35 years down in Fairfax, and when I worked down there and I lived at 222 North Thorpe, it took almost a half hour to get home because there were that many businesses in the Fairfax district. I could travel that same amount of distance or go home now 22 miles in the same amount of time it took me to get to General Motors. And there is the infrastructure down there. We've been working on it, and I think that if you look at what we've done, and we're actually going to vote on something tomorrow about one of the places purchasing the property on the old General Motors, we need to look and see what Riverside's done, bring it over to the Kansas side, and I'm talking about industrial jobs. That's where I grew up. I'm blue collar. I've been blue collar my entire life. I was raised blue collar. Wyandotte County's blue collar. But I think that we need to focus on areas like that have already got the infrastructure there. It's got the stuff. There's the empty buildings. I think we need to go to them and say, you know what? What can we do with you as a person that's going to supply General Motors, $600 million? What can you bring to us, and what can we do with you so you can come work in the Fairfax district? And I think that's one of the overlooked things that needs to be looked at deeply.
As a follow-up question for Jarvis Collier, to follow up, what would you work towards to coordinate BPU and the UG incentives and leverage them to benefit and help the businesses open?
Well, BPU is a vital part of our community, and anything that UG and BPU do together, again, should be beneficial to the citizens of our county. And when we look at all of what is proposed, we must evaluate all of these proposals. Again, jobs, livability, are all of our actions in the UG taken in such a way, Commission, taken in such a way that we can defend our decisions before all of our constituents. So any proposal needs to be evaluated in that light.
I think we've done a terrible job communicating with BPU. There's actually supposed to be a committee of the two at-large commissioners meeting with the Board of Public Utilities President and Vice President to talk about what the issues are. I think we need to get back to having those meetings because they said, well, they had them for a while and they didn't work. Well, you know what? There's different people there now. There's different approaches. There's new ideas because it takes the BPU to make things work. The BPU has its own elected board. We have our own elected board. And together, I think we need to unite, put our differences aside, and get busy.
This is question number 2. Commissioner Kane, you'll take the lead on this, please. What is the difference between a NBR and a neighborhood group?
Well, the neighborhood groups are I don't even know how many we have in Kansas City, or in my district. There's a bunch, but they're the smaller groups, like the group at Dubs Dread. I believe there's one in our neighborhood in Northridge, and the NBRs like Business West and some of the other groups. There's the neighborhood groups are specifically for the neighborhood, and the NBRs are more for what the Business West did for State Avenue and stuff like that, groups that sit together with other groups to try to figure things out and get things done.
Okay, thank you. Reverend Collier, same question. What is the difference between a NBR and a neighborhood group?
I would defer to the commissioner and say that his definition was perfect, spot on.
Okay, thank you. This is a follow-up to that question. Will you support the efforts of restoring the original funding for the 8 neighborhood business revitalization organizations, known as NBRs, to the $30,000 it was, and that is a movement up from the current amount of $22,500 a year, which it was reduced to that amount over the last several years. Commissioner Kane, please.
Well, like the other one said before, I think we need to look at all the requests that we're going to get during the budget. $8,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money, and no, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I also need to know what the real amount of money that we got in that we weren't expecting, because we got a little more. And I think that's something that when you utilize the people that take the time out of their day to make this a better place, I would like to fund them as much as possible. I can't say the full amount, but I'd sure like to give them something.
Thank you. Reverend Collier.
Well, there must have been some reasoning behind the reduction from 30,000 to 22,500. The present commission had to make that decision, and I'd love to understand more what went into their thinking in terms of the reduction. I think the fact that they kept it at 22,500 says that there is a great need for the work that is being done, but perhaps it could go up, or perhaps it needs to remain at that same level. I think those are the kinds of decisions that you have to take on an ad hoc basis. You can't just make a blanket statement that I'll give more to the groups or I'll give less. It all has to be evaluated on the basis of justify what you're doing and justify why you need the amount that you need.
This question is for Jarvis Collier. How would you support Kansas City neighborhoods in starting community gardens and urban farms to bring healthier food to the neighborhood?
Well, I believe that where there are neighborhood gardens, we should, by all means, support that. Fresh fruit, vegetables, those are good for us. Our mothers told us that, and they still are. So I would heartily endorse that concept.
Same question for Commissioner Kane.
I wish Commissioner McKerney was here. On South 14th Street, last summer, we went down there where they've got a very large garden. It's probably 3 or 4 acres. And to watch the work that those people did, and when we had this little ribbon cutting ceremony or whatever you want to call it, each person got a small plot. And you'd have thought that that was their castle. And how proud and how pleased that they had that. And if we can expand that, we absolutely should. Because if you saw the ownership, it actually tastes good too, but if you saw the ownership of what they did and what can be done, and they were using young kids, there were families down there, it was a family thing, it was something that they wanted to do, and by gosh, absolutely, if we could expand that across the city, it'd be great.
This question would be for Commissioner Kane first, please. What steps are you going to take to encourage development in downtown and surrounding neighborhoods?
You know, if we were down there on Quindaro not too long ago, and we did the ribbon cutting ceremony on the houses. And there's no reason why we can't push that more and around it. And Winifred Manning was probably correct. Maybe we should make it where the prices are, where you don't have to make this such a low amount of money to purchase those homes. But to see brand new homes in an area like that, and not just there, over on the south side, you know, we do need to encourage people to move into those places. But this goes back into what I talked about the Fairfax district. Bring people down, show them the amount of homes that are right there now, and in the south, or on the southeast side. Because I think we're missing something. And I think we've got to get our act together, because when I was a kid, Quindaro was the place to live.
Thank you. Reverend Collier?
Well, on what we should do for our urban areas, I'm thankful to be a part of a group of ministers who were able to challenge our mayor and present commissioner, and we said we must have for parishioners and others who live in this community a grocery store. Our mayor challenged us. He said, if you can bring us some names of people so that when we talk to grocers, it's one example of what we can do to revitalize our urban area. He said, if you can do that, we will have a better case. A group of ministers, community leaders produced 1,300 signatures of persons who said, we'd like a grocery store in this urban area near downtown. There are 3 RFPs, I'm told, that are before the UG commissioner, and perhaps the next commission and the next mayor will make the determination, and we believe that's one of the areas that can revitalize our urban area.
The next question is for Jarvis Collier. What would your priorities be for the additional revenue anticipated coming from sales taxes after the STAR bonds are paid off in 2017?
My first priority would be that we must lower the property taxes of all of those in our community. And that fresh revenue stream should be, first of all, examined to say, what can we do for the citizens who made it possible that all of the great development out west took place. And when revenue comes in, heightened revenue, it should cause a decrease in the property taxes. And that should be something that all of us make the commitment to do as commissioners, new mayor, county administrator, all of us working together to ensure that that additional revenue stream is used, first of all, for that purpose.
Same question.
Repeat the question, please.
What would your priorities be for the additional revenue anticipated to come from the sales taxes after the STAR bonds are paid off in 2017?
Well, I think everyone in this room thinks that their taxes are too high, and I agree. And that should be the number one priority, is to lower our taxes. But then there's some infrastructure issues that we have to work on as well. And then the rest of the money we need to see, I think one of the people running for mayor talked about asking the community what they think that we need, what they'd like to see. I think that's an excellent idea, to ask instead of putting, hey, all right, you commissioners, what are you going to do with the money? I believe we should ask the community, what would you like us to do with the money? Because it's your money. And we're just the people that get the credit or the blame for however it's spent. But I think that the main thing of all, lower taxes, and then infrastructure, and then see how much is left, because I hope the windfall is big as they say it is, and then we can look at what else we can do with the money.
Okay. This will be the last question.
Okay, for Commissioner King, last question. We've addressed several issues tonight, and certainly you've heard about many issues needing attention in District 5, as well as other parts of the county. What will your 3 top budget priorities be if you are re-elected commissioner of the 5th District?
I don't know if anybody knows about the Pemberton Place there across on 82nd Street. And one of my priorities when I first got in office, those neighborhood groups got a hold of me and said, hey, we've got the nursery there, and it's terrible, it's blight, and we need to replace it. So the priority that I have, and has always have, is listen to the people. And I think that's something that we need to continue to do. We need to continue to work on lowering taxes. And we need to be, when you call us at City Hall, you need to be treated with a certain amount of dignity and respect. and we need to communicate better with the citizens. I know we send the citizen newspaper out. I think it needs to go out more often. I think we need to let people know what's coming down the pipeline. This is happening, that's happening. And you know, when I ran 8 years ago, the priority was taxes and a grocery store. Well, there's 2 grocery stores in District 5, one at 110th of Walmart, and the 78th and State, they're going to redo the Price Chopper. So I listened to what their priorities were, and that's what I think we need to do, is listen to the people so they can tell us what they are.
Okay, thank you. Reverend Collier, the same question. Of course, it's not re-elected. It would be, we've addressed several issues tonight, and certainly you've heard about many issues needing attention in District 5 as well as other parts of the county. What will your three top budget priorities be if you are elected commissioner of the 5th District?
Well, we must continue on a smart growth plan. Open government, accountability, accessibility, increasing the communication from the Unified Government Commission and all of the citizens. Then something that we haven't really touched on, but I believe it's going to be very big for our community, this Google technology. And I hope that our entire county, the mayor did the State of the County address a few weeks ago, and he showed a big map of the areas where Google technology would spread to. And he said, and I agree with the mayor, the outgoing mayor, that the goal must be that our entire county is green with Google, with the technology. I don't understand it all, but I believe that technology is something we really need to embrace. So that would be very high at the top of my list: smart growth, open government, Google technology. Those 3 specific areas if I'm elected to the commission.
Okay, thank you very much. It's now time for your closing statements. Mr. Kane, we'll start with you. You have 1 minute, and then Reverend Collier, you will follow.
As I've said before, my life is pretty much an open book. If you call, you ask a question, I'll call. You send me an email, I'll send you an email. 8 years ago, you said work on lowering taxes and grocery stores and get rid of the blight on 82nd Street. The blight's gone on 82nd Street. One grocery store's there, another one's coming. But equally as important, and if you even look at my flyer, we need to get industry back into the Fairfax area. If we don't go tap what the Riverside people are tapping, then we're not doing the citizens justice. Those are high-paying, well-paid jobs, and it should be our goal and the entire city's goal to get more jobs like that back in the city.
Reverend Collier.
I entered this race because of my concern, because I was approached by some people saying that perhaps I had something that I could offer to our community as a public servant. I am a pastor, I'm not a politician. I want to go on record. Throughout this campaign, we have had a very good time of talking together. I've met Mike Kane. He's a good man. He's a family man. The question then, why would you run for the position? It is not against our commissioner. It is that I believe we need some fresh approaches. I don't play cards, but those who play cards, I think you shuffle the deck every now and then. We're going to get a new mayor. We'll get some commissioners, perhaps. That'll be some fresh approaches. We'll have new ideas coming, new thoughts. And my commitment is to be a public servant.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause.